H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.
Okay. So the first step is you need to analyze the requirements. You have to understand the manual test cases that are prepared and also look at the requirements, what you're going to automate. Like I think most of you guys have an idea like how these requirements and the test cases are done. Let me quickly show you. Okay. So given any project, you will get this kind of the requirements document, or also you're going to prepare the test cases. Right. So these are the requirements, and also you will get a chance to prepare the manual test cases either in Excel sheet or some tools. Okay, so these are the kind of manual test cases that are done, and your job is you're trying to automate these manual test cases part of your project. So that's where first you need to understand what the functionality is, and then what are the requirements for the project. So identify the requirements for the manual test cases to be automated, and identify the test data needed to execute the test case, and run the manual test case at least once to understand the functionality. Basically, you're going to look at what are the manual test cases done, right? And just go through these steps, and then execute at least once this particular manual test case to make sure what are the data that is mentioned part of this test case, is it sufficient for you to create the automated scripts. Right, so you're going to execute at least once. So here the step says you're going to open this application, and this web application, you open the browser and then input this URL and then see, okay, system displays the home page. And also the next thing is you're going to enter this phone numbers and the passwords and then see if it's a successful login. That way, not just you're going to project before you develop any automation script, just you want to make sure what the data mentioned in the part of this test case is correct and the data is valid. The reason is because these manual test cases done maybe the long back, whatever data that is mentioned, it may not be valid. So those are the things you're going to look at first, try to understand the functionality and try to identify the data that is required for the test case in order to automate. Then, once you're done with this step, so okay, you got the right data and you got the right test case and the requirements, everything is good. Then the next step is you're going to install the UFT tool on your system. In order to, before you install the UFT tool, you need to understand the application environment. So that means where the application is developed, what is the technology that is used to develop this application environment. Like why it's really required to understand the application environment. Basically, you're going to talk to the development guys. Okay, is it a .NET based application or a Java based application or something else? SAP or mainframe. That way, now while you install EFT itself, you're going to identify the required add-ins. Because how the EFT works is, say for example, you are testing an application developed in Java, you have to have the Java add-in installed along with UFT. Right? While installing UFT, part of the wizard is going to display the available add-ins. The default add-ins, what you get is just the web, ActiveX, and Visual Basic. Those are the default add-ins that comes with UFT. But if you are testing an application built on Java, you are going to explicitly install Java add-in along with UFT. Generally, you should be able to create any scripts on the applications built on Java technology. Same is the case, like if you're testing an application built on .NET, you have to have .NET add-in installed along with UFT too. Because those are the add-ins that are available along with UFT, but they don't install by default. So you're going to select explicitly, I need this particular add-in part of your installation. Okay, so that's what, before you start install, either you can talk to the development guys, because those are the best people, they can tell you what's this application technology. Okay, so that is the next step. First, you need to understand the application side. You need to understand what is the requirement, what are the manual test cases that you need to automate. And the second step is you're going to identify what's the application environment and identify the required add-ins to be installed along with UFT. So once these preliminary steps are done, so you're going to install the UFT. And here, when you install UFT in real time, basically you have two kinds of license mechanisms. So UFT has two license types we use in the projects. So node lock license and the floating license. So node lock license is specific to the system wherever it is installed. This specific, it's a node lock, right? Specific to that particular node or the system. So once you install this node lock license, wherever it is installed, the UFT is available on that particular machine only. If somebody wants to work on UFT, they have to go to the particular system and then work. Whereas the floating license is the one. Floating license will be installed on the server. So these are basically the server-based license. The floating license gets installed on a server, so you need not worry about this part. Basically, IT guys, they are going to put all this license on one of the server machines where everybody can access that particular server. All you have to do is, whenever you are trying to access this floating license, you have to mention the server name. So, for example, if you look at here, part of this installation, you will get these additional tools, and then so you can look at the additional installation requirements, right? Anyway, part of your installation, you will get this window in the last step of your installation. So that time you are going to select what's the license you are going to use in the project. See, this is a window like you'll get at the end of your UFT installation, right? So when you check this, say run installation wizard, right? If you click on this run button, then it's going to give you two license types. But if you're using evaluation copy, obviously you're not going to run this installation. So you're going to click cancel button. But in the real time, obviously you have to install the license because you get a regular version, not the evaluation copy. So this is the seat license, this is the node lock, or the second one is the concurrent license. This is floating license. Okay. So node lock or the seat license, floating or concurrent license. So when you select the seat license, and then if you click on next button, then it's going to ask you to put the license number. That's what you get from HP company. So they're going to mail you, once you buy that license, right? They're going to mail you the license number. Then if you click on next button, then it asks the license number. They're going to input that license number. So you're done. Whereas no, I'm going to use this concurrent license. So you're going to select this option and then click next. That time, instead of asking the license number, it's going to ask the server name. Because these concurrent licenses will be installed on the server machine. So you will get that server name where this UFT license is installed from IT department. So whatever they say, you're going to put the server name that so you should be able to connect to that server and then use that license. So what is that difference between these two is, it is specific to that machine where it is installed. Nobody else can use this license. It is specific to that system. That's what, even when HP generates this license, they will ask you to provide your system ID. That's what they're going to generate, the license specific to that system. But whereas the floating license is a kind of shared license. So for example, you have one license, right? That means one person can use at a time, one at a time. So today just you have some UFT work, you want to develop some script, then you can use that license. And tomorrow you don't have any UFT scripting, so all you have to do is you can release that license so that somebody else can use that license. So that is a floating license behavior. Okay. Suppose if you have, say, 20 licenses, then 20 people can use that license at a time. 20 people. Okay. So most of the time, that's what actually it has its own advantage. It's not specific to the system. Whenever that license is free, somebody else can connect to that license and then he can use UFT on his machine. So that's why it's more flexible. The companies go for the floating licenses. Okay. So instead of this specific to the node lock license, though the floating license is a little bit more expensive, but still it has its own advantage. That's what. Okay, let's go on. Maybe it's somewhere like $3,000-4,000 more, the floating license compared to the seat license. So that's where you can use this floating license instead of for the node license. That's what the companies will offer in the real-time projects. Okay. So those are the licensing types. Once you install the UFT tool, you're going to select here whether you're going to use the seat license. Most of the time, you're going to select the concurrent license. If you click next button, then it's going to ask the server name. What are the server name you get from the IT department, wherever that floating license are installed? You're going to put the server name, and then you should be able to work with UFT tool. Okay. So there are the two licensing types that will be used. So once you install this QTP, so you're going to select that install. So you're going to select the license at the end of this installation. Okay. So installation has two steps. First, you need to identify the required add-ins with the help of development team. And the second step is, if you don't have information what's the license you're using, either you can talk to, just give me one sec. Just give me one sec, I'll be back. Okay, sorry. Alright, so here some people are saying like full screen. Basically, like you can maximize on your WebEx if you want. See on the top you see the WebEx toolbar. So there you will get a zoom options. Beyond the view menu, you can select full screen. Okay, that is from the user side. All this WebEx. Okay, because on my system I'm showing the full screen my PPT. But from your system, you can select on the top toolbar, the WebEx toolbar, go to the right side, there is a drop down menu, go and select view full screen. Okay. And Anil, here he is not able to hear, basically he couldn't dial into the conference. One sec. Okay, so there are the licensing types like you can use, and once you're done with these two steps, then pretty much like you're good to develop automation scripts. Then what's the next step? Is you're going to create the framework. So this is the framework step again. You're going to create the framework. That means you're going to come up with a folder structure. Anyway, we're going to have a very detailed discussion in later part of this course. And then you should be able to, you can call into the WebEx and then you say, I'm not hearing. Okay, guys. Sorry. Okay, so you're going to create part of this framework. So you're going to create a folder structure and you follow certain coding standards because you're going to do a lot of scripting on the project. Right, so you write functions, you write some methods, subroutines, you write some classes. So there are a lot of stuff, a lot of scripting will be done. So you have to follow certain coding standards, like how you do the scripting. And also, you're going to identify what's the common functionality in the application, and then you're going to create a reusable components. This is a little bit the tedious task. This anyway, like it's not a single person task, it's a teamwork. Like the team is going to meet and then identify what are the common functionality across the application. Something like a open application, login, open or browse for the file, close application. So you are going to identify that kind of the common functionality and you write functions. The advantage here is you are trying to avoid the redundancy of the scripting because I don't want to create the scripts login again and again. Instead, I create a function for login and then I'm going to use the function in all my scripts. So that's where when you look at your script, the UFT script, it mostly contains calls to the functions. So you're not going to hard code any scripting. Instead, you write a function and use that function in all your scripts. The advantage here is the maintenance is very easy. You can maintain a function very easily. Whereas if you want to maintain the scripts, that's a difficult part. Okay, so that part anyway we're going to discuss later, like what that maintenance, how it will be easy, like between the function versus the scripting. But also you create the shared object repositories and therefore come up with the data files. Since you're going to create your test data in some XML file, and then prepare some project constraints and identify the reporting mechanism. So what kind of reports we want? Mostly the manager is interested in HTML reports. So we're going to generate those reports and then send it to the people. So that's all the stuff like what we discussed in the previous slide is part of your framework. So we're going to have detailed discussion on each step here, what we mentioned, part of the framework. This is just to give you a high level. So what is the process involved? So the first step is you identify the requirements, you identify the test cases. Second step is you identify the required add-ins, and also you identify the license. And the third step is you're going to create the framework, and part of that you're going to create all these steps. You follow these different steps, coding standards, the border sectors, you're going to create the reusable components, shared repositories, data files, project constraints, and the reporting mechanism. So once you create this framework, then we follow mostly the projects, the hybrid scripting. Since you're going to do the scripting based on shared object repositories and also the descriptive programming. So we do both based on the shared object repositories, and also whenever you have some issues with object repository, then we use this descriptive programming approach to work on those problems. Okay, so that's hybrid scripting we follow most of the time. And what are the issues like where the descriptive programming is useful? So we have a separate session for that. And also like we do the script enhancements, parameterization, because you are going to read data from external Excel files. So we're going to test more volume of data. And also the verification points. So we create a lot of checkpoints. And also here, like you're not going to, most of the time, you're not going to hard code any checkpoints. Something like you use different methods like get arrow property and the set to property, set arrow properties. Those are the methods you're going to use to handle any kind of dynamic objects. Okay, and also you can capture any snapshots at runtime. You're going to use different methods, and also you create some XML checkpoints, particularly when it has the web services, that part. Then you're going to capture the runtime data using these output values, regular expressions to handle this dynamic object. The objects change at runtime. and we do the transactions, reusable actions on the VB script functions, recording types. Basically, you do different recordings, analog, low-level recording, and also uh, object-based recording. That is an inside recording. That's a new feature anyway in UFT, inside recording. So it has its own advantages. So I'm going to show you some case studies where you can really use that inside recording. Because we have even in the current projects where we are working, we have some difficulty to automate some of these applications. They use mostly this ribbon-based technology. So that's where we are very successful using the inside recording with UFT. Because we have a lot of pains with QTP to recognize that interface. Okay, so we'll discuss those case studies, how you're going to do this inside recording and the different other recordings, where it is useful, the analog and the low-level recordings. And also custom reporting, recovery scenarios to handle any runtime exceptions. You're going to use the built-in feature, the recovery scenarios in UFT, and also we do the scripting part, like honor, resume next. So that way just you can handle any kind of runtime exceptions. So these are the things part of your script enhancements. And then you also initially, you're going to debug your script, case line by line execution, to make sure the script is working good and you're getting right data into the script. And then, so you're going to schedule the test. So you're going to execute a batch of scripts, like multiple scripts, 100, 200 scripts I want to run tonight. So either you can use the quality center, that's where you can schedule your test and go home, so that it's going to trigger all the tests and then execute. Or you can use within QTP. Suppose if you don't have tools like quality center, within QTP itself, you can create some master script and then execute all your 200, 300 scripts. Or else you can create a master script using VB script, and you're going to use the Windows scheduler to schedule those tests. Because in my experience, most of the projects you have UFT to automate the scripts, but you don't have quality center. That's where you end up with using this VB scripting to create a master script, and then you can schedule with Windows Scheduler. Windows Scheduler, anyway, that comes with Windows operating system. That's a very beautiful feature where you can schedule your tests, like how frequently you want to run your scripts, right? So you can schedule and then run your tests. So those are things like we practice in real time. So we'll discuss these features. And then the next step is you're going to do the result analysis. Once your 200, 300 scripts gets executed, then you do the result analysis. What's that script failed and how many scripts passed. If for any script that is failed, so you go and look at in detail which step is failed. Is it an application issue or the script issue? Obviously, if it is an application issue, you end up with creating a defect and then send that issue to the development team. Whereas if it is a script issue, obviously, it lies the responsibility is with you. So you have to correct those script issues and then re-execute your test. And then most of the time, as I mentioned before, so you're going to prepare this HTML reports and then post it on internet. That's where everybody in the team can access your test results. And they can look at and then see what's going on the application. So these are the steps basically like we follow in order to automate this testing process. Okay, let's quickly summarize. Understand the requirement test cases. Then identify the e-add-ins and the license type. Create your framework. Then we develop the scripts by following mixed approach, shared WAS and descriptive programming, DP. Then we do the different enhancements. And then we also debug the script to make sure the logic. Logic is nothing but we are going to put some conditional statements in the script, right? Say if else conditions, do while, for loops, just to make sure the logic implementation is working good. And then also like you have to make sure you're getting the right data into the script. Then you schedule your test and run them, do the result analysis, prepare your test reports, and then just publish on the internet and send it to the other stakeholders. Okay, so these are the steps. Anybody having any questions? Let me know. Just we're going to look at some of these features. How many defects generally we get in one script? No, it all depends. It's not specific to the script. Mostly it is specific to the application, right? So what's the complexity of the application? Initially you will get more defects. Then as and when the functionality gets getting more stable, then your defect rate obviously comes down. But initially you will get a lot of defects. But mostly like keep in mind, this automation test scripts execution happens once the functionality is stable, right? So that's where like you're going to find out mostly the regression is part of your script executions. Okay. Yes, I'm going to send you this PowerPoint presentation. It's part of the class notes. So you will get this. All right, any other questions? All right, so now let's look at some of these basic the features. Anyway, like, let's start with this UFT. Okay, so this is what like you get once you start the UFT, right? The add-in manager window. So let's quickly go through these features. What is this add-in manager window? What's the importance of add-in in UFT? So this is what I'm talking before. See, if you don't select any add-ins when you install UFT, all you get is ActiveX, Visual Basic, and Web Add-in. Those are the three default add-ins what we get. And these are the add-ins are explicitly installed when I do UFT. Like I selected Java add-in and also I selected SAP and Terminal Emulator. Suppose if you're testing any applications built on Java, you have to have this Java add-in installed. Then only it shows up in this add-in manager. Otherwise, it doesn't show up. Similarly, if you're testing an SAP GUI part, SAP application, terminal emulators are mainly command line interface. So if you're testing any kind of applications on the command line, something like the mainframe applications or your Unix operating systems or the Linux, any kind of the command line interface, so you can do with this terminal emulator add-in. Okay. Or iSeries from IBM. So these are the add-ins that I explicitly installed while I do UFT. So then, on this add-in manager, whenever you're testing, say, SAP application, you have to make sure this SAP add-in should be checked. Generally, you can develop any scripts on SAP GUI. Otherwise, if you don't have SAP add-in, then you're trying to record or you're trying to create some script on the SAP GUI, so you end up with no scripting. Basically, the UFT says it couldn't recognize those objects on the application. Okay, so that's the importance of the add-in is in order to recognize the object on the application. Add-ins are required to recognize the object under application, to recognize the application under testing. Okay, so once you make sure, let's say, because most of the time you're going to test the web application, so you have to make sure this web add-in should be checked. Okay, so any questions on this add-in manager? Is this clear? What is the importance of add-in and why we need add-in in UFT? Any questions? No, basically, like you see, the ActiveX and where the ActiveX is basically a third-party controls. Like the ActiveX controls are, so if you look at any kind of applications, say, I think if you are familiar with this application, so if you log in, so ActiveX are the third-party controls that gets embedded in any application, like whether it's a web application or a desktop application. Okay, so here you have this. This is basically called an ActiveX control, like where it has more than one standard control. So this is just, you see, this is a simple text box, right? Whereas if you look at here, there are three text boxes that are combined together for the date control. So these are the ActiveX controls that are embedded in applications. So that's where you always make sure the ActiveX check whether you test web or Visual Basic or Java or any other application. Okay, just to make sure that you don't get into any issues. And if application has Adobe Flex, is there any add-in? Like yeah, we have this Flex add-in. That's basically to test this kind of Flash applications. Those things. Yes, so they have that add-in in UFT. Suppose if you choose the general element here, do we need to have the knowledge of Unix scripting? No. So Unix scripting and those things part of your testing. But here you're developing the scripts. All you have to do is just follow the test scenario and then develop the scripts. Okay? So here nothing to do your Unix scripting. All you have to do is familiar with this as automation tester. You should be familiar with UFT and the VB scripting part, not the Unix scripting part. How many browsers are supported? Those are basically, even if you look at HP.com, they provide the release notes, and mostly they're going to support the industry standard browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. What I heard recently is because very recently, I think the last week they released the UFT 12. It seems like they provide the support for the other browsers like Safari or Opera. I'm not sure. I have to look at the release notes that comes with UFT 12. Okay, but to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, UFT 11.5 has support for Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. Okay, so even if you want to know further, basically you can go to the website, and then they're going to talk about what are the supported environments. So they released, so if you look at say UFT 12, that's the very latest version. that came into this market. I think the last week they released this one. So, this is the UFT 12 version, very latest one. And just you can go through some of these videos, like what are the enhancements they did. Then, basically, they also provide some release notes. And here, so here you have this demo some products, and then something they might provide. Yeah, just go to this somewhere like which is the release notes, and they tell like what are the supported environments, like operating systems, and also the browsers. Okay, that's the UFT 12. They extended the browser support. They're saying what is new, but they didn't provide anywhere the link. Okay, so they're talking about all these features here, like what this UFT 12 will support. Just you can go to this one. So they might have mentioned somewhere about the supported environments. Okay. Then what's the next question? Whenever I try to open Flight application, after login, it says invalid attributed object identifier. I'm not sure what that is. Probably I have to look at your system. Okay, but I can do that in the next class. Add-ins are only identifying the objects, nothing to do with the scripting language. Add-ins are basically internal to the KTP, the UFT, right? It's basically like for the object identification mechanism. Okay. Nothing to do with the scripting means basically it's going to develop the script that way. If you have, say, something, if you select here Java add-in, right? And then whenever you create the scripts against the Java application, all you see is when you record the script or when you create the scripts for against the normal window application, right? The normal desktop application. So you're going to see something, say window, login, and then say window button, win button, and then say OK dot click. So this is the kind of scripting you'll get. But whereas when you select this Java add-in and you are trying to create the script against the Java application, so instead of it says window, then it's going to say the scripting Java window, and also it says Java button. Okay, so that's the difference, like what you see with the required add-ins. That's how the scripting will be developed using the UFT. Okay. So that's the difference that you can see with the required add-ins that are installed. How to get continue with this UFT evaluation version license. Okay, you can continue. Basically, you can install the VMware. So VMware is like what you're creating a virtual machine on your system, and then you can continuously use UFT. It's not a big deal. Okay, you can install VMware. You can create a virtual machine, and whenever it expires, you just remove the virtual machine, and then create a new one and install UFT.
H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.